So I'm Simen Svale. I'm the CTO of Sanity IO, and with us we have Ashley Brooke. You're the Digital and E-commerce Operations Manager at AETHER,
Yes.
and then Evan Bax, so designer at AETHER.
Yes.
And then Michal, I don't dare to try to pronounce your last name, but you're the CTO and a partner at Commerce-UI, right?
Exactly, yes.
Amazing. So we're going to talk about AETHER today, and it's I have to say, like, as a Norwegian, of course, like it's obligatory here to be an outdoorsy person. Like you can't choose that. That's kind of just given to you at birth. And but I feel like this brand really speaks to me in a sense. Something about like it's being both like functional and like a technical clothes, but also they look cool and like feel like something you could wear in town. So what's the thinking? What's the kind of brand values here, Ashley?
I mean, you kind of hit the nail right on the head. AETHER's been around for a little over a decade now. Our focus definitely is technical outerwear without compromising style or comfort.
Oh, I still feel like a little outdoorsy brands aren't like really street compatible. So I would love more AETHER in my life. But anyway, so you decide to redo your entire e-commerce kind of setup. Kind of what went into that decision making?
Well, we were on Shopify, and we were using kind of like this proto headless solution with WordPress for about 5 years. And I mean, honestly, I was really hoping we could re-platform, but it's very expensive, obviously, to do so. And thankfully, one of the owners, they understood that the investment is sort of an investment for, a 4 or 5 year future. So we had a meeting about, isn't it time to try to look into, what's the next 5 years look like? And so that kind of simple question got us around to exploring the idea of switching. I mean, my kind of designer technical brain was trying to think like, oh, great, we can switch CMS platforms. Like I wasn't saying that to them. It was more just conceptual. How can we make it more of a better brand story? That's sort of their thing was like, how do we bring the editorial into the website? So we kind of did both, which was great. We could do two things. We could solve the technical challenges and we could solve the kind of brand challenges.
So in a sense, doing what you already were doing, just like in a better way, like just having it being a better experience running and driving it, and then also adding this storytelling aspect. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, much better way. It's just like a modern way. I felt like I was stuck in years past. I mean, we never switched Shopify. I think the general shopping framework was fine, but in terms of like managing content was just very cumbersome. So that's why I just felt like we just kind of leapt into the future a bit. So yeah.
But also your because that's one of the things that has always been kind of weird to me with a lot of brands, even like huger brands than AETHER even have like these amazing retail spaces and then really drab online experiences. Like, but AETHER is also a company that really kind of leverages or like really like loves the retail experience, right? The spaces. Maybe Ashley, maybe you could speak to that.
Absolutely. I think that's very much so true. There's a lot of time and energy and brainstorming that goes around, the experience from the minute you walk into the door, and to the point where we have a walk-in freezer at our LA store just to be able to put on the outdoor gear for the colder extreme weathers and actually experience how it's going to react and how warm you're going to stay. So that's a big part of our brand. Absolutely. It's something that we're all very passionate about.
And that was into your thinking, I understand, when you were designing or like when you were considering kind of redoing your online experience, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've always said like we've spent like an inordinate amount of time designing the stores and the experience, and we want the online experience to feel as good or better. So that was always kind of a tricky challenge because like obviously when you're in a physical store, you've got there's a lot of elements to it, but I feel like right now it actually, we've answered that. I think.
Are you in a place to share screen? Actually, I know on your site you have like a really great page just showing some shots of your stores, right? So here we go. These are some beautiful spaces. So I guess
the San Francisco store, 3 containers stacked on top of each other.
So,
Yeah.
but like, this is where you bring in Michal, right? Like when you are then deciding to do this kind of replatforming. So what are you hearing, Michal?
Yeah, at Commerce-UI, a beauty development agency based in Poland, Gdańsk. So we do we focus solely on e-commerce basically, and our clients are mostly fashion and sports and luxury brands. So I think we are quite good fit here, basically. And on top of that, we have a lot of experience in headless e-commerce implementations. And at the same time, we try to differentiate from being like a strictly technical team. So I believe our close relationship to like e-commerce industry allows us to be more like a technological partner for our clients and help them navigate through migrations like that, or from amplifying their e-commerce experience basically. So that's how we end up here together with AETHER.
That's perfect. And then you are bringing in Sanity into the equation here, because that's a solution you often go to, right?
Yes, exactly. We used Sanity in a couple of projects before. Basically, as an agency, we bet on Sanity. The first time we stumbled upon the CMS, we felt like we finally found our CMS of choice.
So we'll spend some time, of course, talking about some of the benefits and some of the kind of things you're doing with it. I would love to hear from you, Ashley, some of the things you struggle with doing that you wanted to be able to be doing, like as you were tackling this project.
I think with this project, we definitely wanted the option of being able to customize these pages. I think in e-commerce in general, things tend to be a bit formulaic. I think in e-commerce and marketing, it's really easy to get stuck in this idea of so-and-so is doing it this way, the industry is doing it this way. This is what we believe to, garner conversion, garner sales. But I think in starting to work with Sanity for the first time, my eyes were just opened up to all of the possibilities and being able to take risks and being able to test things out and easily, make those changes. And, if you need to make those adjustments, it's just as easy to do that. So I think that was something that I really valued going into it.
Because that's one of the things that I love about this store. If you go to men's jackets, because that's where I've been looking. I want to go and buy some of those jackets when I come over sometime. You don't have stores over here, but and then if you went to this auto jacket here, and then I think there's something about this, because at the top of the page, it's a very traditional, this is a very approachable. I know this, I've seen this 1,000 times, but it's in a good way, right? Because I can understand how to use this. I don't need to think. But then if I start scrolling, there is some storytelling going on immediately. Everything has a lifestyle shot, it seems, at the top. Some of them even aren't of the actual product. It's just how you the environment you would be using them, the climate and the situation you would find yourself in. And it looks to me and in the end here, you'll see the product details, design details, and then this amazing kind of visualization of the temperature ranges and stuff. How are you thinking about, I guess, how do you think about your empathy with the consumer as you design these pages? Maybe to you, Evan.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I just want to tell the story of each piece. We spend about anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years on each piece, and a lot of companies in the technical space do. But then when you get to the product pages, it's just conversion, and of course, and so I just want to always marry the two together. So that's why we kind of developed this highly convertible top area. But if you want to be able to go much, much deeper into the story of the product, and sometimes it's also the story of the brand mixed in with it, then you can get both. And I think people don't do it because it's a little bit more work on the design end, but then from the CMS part of it, it's much easier. So I can design a page in Figma, and then I can have this up live, in probably 15-20 minutes. And that, like I
Right.
could never do that before.
No, I agree. Like this is very rare. I feel like some brands would say like this is maybe not within their reach to create all of that fantastic
Yeah.
content, but I think for a lot of brands, you still can do this at your scale. If you're selling like artisanal teas, you can make these kind of stories around the lifestyle of your product, and you can still do this without having a helicopter and like I guess like a huge crew on a mountain. There is ways of approaching this kind of storytelling. But I think one thing that I hear a lot is like people feel it's going to be too much work to put together these pages. So I guess that's a question to you, Michal. How are you approaching this kind of designing this workflow, setting up this thing? Oh, because like now it kind of sounds like you did a lot of expensive and complicated customization work, but I don't think you did.
No, actually not. So yeah, it may sound like that, but the thing is that 90% of the things we've done in the panel, or the adjustment needed for the AETHER team were basically things out of the box that Sanity allows us to do. So we didn't do any crazy stuff there, apart from maybe a couple of really advanced flows. But yeah, as I said, 90% of it was already there. We just adjusted it. We just configured it basically. And if it wasn't there, for the most part, there was like a ready out of the shelf plugin for the functionality we set. So yeah, it wasn't complicated at all. So we had a lot of space of thinking actually how we want to how the editorial experience should look like, without constantly thinking how to get around some of the constraints and so on. So
like Evan, are you able to show the studio at this point?
Yeah.
Because what we'd love to see is like that, the temperature bar at the bottom of the jackets, the one that shows the range, the temperature range. This is like I love these kinds of things. These are, I guess, 2 numbers or something, just kind of visualized it really beautifully. So like gives the page, these have a great utility. Yeah, so these are, and then you visualize that as an SVG or something, I guess. Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
how do
amazing.
you do it, Michal? I think it's an SVG. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's
a premium experience, right? Like it goes with the product. These are premium products. This is a premium shopping experience. I think I love the way these kind of small details that like Michal and Evan and Ashley, these things amplifies the work of the editor. Like you're doing a small thing, you're adding this number and picking a color, and for every page, this brings this whole like little bit of flair to every page. And I feel like maybe if you perfect, like give us a little tour.
Yeah, so essentially what Michal built is this, I'll show you, but this is essentially the page builder, and then we have all these components. So we designed and then they built all these different components that are very modular and flexible. So like this piece, for example, the weather conscious design is a piece that I can then I can add some subtext, and then I can change the space so I can make it a full bleed. And of course we have all of our accessibility. I can not have a border. I can have the text to be position centered. If it's a lighter photograph, I can switch the colors, and then we can add a CTA. And of course, and then this is all mobile friendly, and then I can add a link. And then essentially like these pieces are modules, so then I can I can move them around to any position on the page. So and then you press publish. So I just want to point out that, like, I mean, what blew my mind is to be able to, as a designer, is the photo editor, to be able to, one, just drop an image, like I'm just using Adobe Bridge, and to be able to drop an image into a CMS is that is unbelievable. But then also to be able to crop images on the fly is also unbelievable. And so just to put that in perspective, like I would always have to slice images up in whatever program you're using, if it was Figma or Sketch
in
or
7
Photoshop.
sizes, I guess.
Yeah, so like I don't even think about save for web and the compression. So all the like image compression is handled. Michal could speak to that, but like that's a little thing that is a huge thing. Like that saves so much time for me, and then it all works for mobile also. So it's just, yeah, it just helps me crop images and be a better designer on the fly without having to like, because I used to always have to go like, oh, I'll recrop it, so I'd redo it, resave it, you know.
So now you're kind of only
it.
thinking about
Yeah.
the things that matter, in a sense, like the things that actually is your specialty. And I feel like also for all the freedom that you kind of built into this, Michal, and the designs, this, I guess, allows more people to safely create content on this site, because it looks like it will always kind of match the design spec. Is that fair to say?
Give the ability to our clients to think purely about the content. What speaks the best to the brand clients? What should be the text? What should be the photograph there, and not worry about, you know, things like, should I optimize the image? Should I optimize the video? That's inherently the things that developers should take care about, and worry about, you know, all of those loading strategies, performance, and so on, and allow content team to basically worry about the content.
Exactly. Like we build a system so that you worry about the things that matter, like the things that makes a difference in your field, and then everything else we automate that away, right? Like I feel this is like a great example of that.
Yeah, and basically this technical specification section, that's one of my favorite, I would say. And it's like a really non-standard, I would say, or maybe like engaging section. And it looks like a tailored made. It shows product really well. But at the same time, it's really easy to edit this. And that's also a thing, like with the Sanity, from our point of view, it gives us, as you know, as a development agency, it gives us a lot of like a confidence. So building a shop like that is inherently complex process. Basically, there is like a lot of things to do, a lot of things to worry about, the whole page builder, the performance, and all of that technicalities that comes with it. And there is like a lot of things that have to be communicated, and there are a lot of ideas floating around during this building phase. And with Sanity, we stopped worrying that something won't be possible. Basically, we usually say, yeah, it's most likely. We don't have to do like in-depth analysis of the brief, or and we can say, yeah, it's most likely possible. And then we just think how to do it, and how to improve the editorial experience of those complex sections. Yeah.
But you have a quote, Ashley, I saw. Sanity lets us say yes to our creative ideas. I'm so used to hearing, no, that's not possible on this platform. And like, that's literally kind of where we used to be an agency like Michal in the past. And that's literally why we created Sanity. Was so angry with having to say no to completely reasonable requests all the time. So what are your experience with that, Ashley? Like what's been possible in your world?
So much. I think it's worthy to note that we are updating our homepage a lot more now since launching with Sanity. And that's because it's quite efficient. And because we're inspired to do so. It's, you know, we don't want to go stale, you know, there's that sense of needing to refresh, but also like an inherent and natural kind of notion to keep, you know, presenting new content and using the different components, and you know, finding the combination that tells a story the best way. And that applies to our homepage as well as our collection pages. We're constantly thinking about how to improve. Michal was talking about improvements. We've made so many improvements with Sanity too, and so I think that's been a really great experience for us, and I think that our customers are noticing as well.
That's amazing. So, so now take me through like, so I guess you add your products first to Shopify when you kind of have a
Yes.
new SKU. So what happens then?
Yes. So essentially, I'm uploading and putting in all of our information that's specific to the product within Shopify, as well as loading in the collections. And then we kind of take it to Sanity from there. Evan will add in the content, any imagery, any video. And also,
but you don't have to
sorry.
kind of, because there's a, no, it's just also highlighting the fact that this syncs, right? Like when you add it to Shopify,
Yes.
it's already available in Shopify to then start enriching the product page, right?
Yes, everything's pretty immediate. And I mean, we collaborate on pretty much everything, which is really nice. I think this is such a collaborative platform as well.
Are you using the
makes
real-time
things easy.
collaboration at all? Like, are you able to leverage that in your workflows? The fact that you can work on the same page at the same time and stuff like that?
We do, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's when we have a new product collection launch, it's all hands on deck. So there's, Ashley and I, and then we have others in the art department, and we could all potentially be in here updating products, and it's all pretty fluid. There's never like it's just
Get out of my
syncs
field
quickly, and it's like very immediate. Yeah, exactly.
So Michal, that's Sanity Connect for the synchronization. What do you use for the front end framework?
We use Next.js. Yeah.
Next.js and Sanity Connect and Sanity.
Next.js, Sanity Connect. Yeah, and Shopify has an e-commerce platform. So yeah, basically, that's it. Yeah.
That's it. So I'm thinking about, like, I'm talking to a lot of people who, I mean, it's like let's start there, because all of this wonderfulness, all of this storytelling, the beautiful pictures of helicopters and people in beautiful jackets is worth zero unless it kind of ends up at the bottom line. And you can kind of show that was worth it. So how did you, that was a good experience, Ashley.
Definitely. I think with the launch of our new site with Sanity, we definitely got positive feedback on our end in terms of metrics across the board. During a period that kind of felt like a trial period, we weren't sure how people were going to receive this, new layout. At least our returning customers, because it's pretty strikingly different. And so we were very pleased to see, just an increase across the board, but specifically when it came to our web performance metrics, seeing things like average session time increase, seeing things like average order value increase, I think specifically speaks to the usability and the user experience.
So are you seeing, like, because how do you discover, is that like related products, like you're looking at the product and you discover like related products, or how do you think that's upsell, I guess, like or how do you think about that? Like I'm coming to buy a jacket, I end up going away with like a sweatshirt and like some skiing trousers as well, or how does that work?
I mean, we do have that functionality with quite a few of our products. We have a recommendation component. That's definitely one piece of the puzzle for sure. Just looking at user path, how many products are appealing to each customer, I think is something that's really important for us as well.
So now that you kind of have this launched and Michal is still in the room, so you're still working together, is that because things are breaking and you're kind of maintaining stuff, or are you pursuing new goals?
We're
Michal.
pursuing new goals. Oh yeah, Michal. Yeah, go.
No,
Evan,
sorry.
But,
Evan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you can go. We just, that's the beauty of the web, is that like it's always evolving. We can keep pushing forward. So I think we've been doing that since we launched on September 1st, and we've already implemented, dozens of things. So, I'm trying to think like all the things in our heads and things that we want to do, what's the whole roadmap for the whole year? And so I just think there's so much potential. There's, pieces we want to work on for like VIP customers, or like user account, custom components. and then also just get back to more editorial things as well. I mean, obviously we have a lot of it, but things that we can integrate our journal into. There's just so much. So we need Michal and his team as a partner ongoing. It's like it's a relationship that just keeps moving, and we fix things, of course, from time to time. They optimize things better, but I will say that part of like making a really good site is these guys make really fast websites, and like speed was number one. I mean, not only were they like really nice people, but like speed was why we first were really attracted to Commerce-UI. And it shows, and I think that's what creates more discovery on the website also, is just like when everything's loading seamlessly, it changes the experience on the site.
Yeah, absolutely. So so like to the message kind of to people who are reluctant to invest in this, like who may think it's going to be this kind of huge drag and maintenance burden, it's not about that. It's about like you keep working because you have more ambitions. You want to invest more and when you want to see more returns, in a sense. Do you do any kind of optimization, A/B testing, and have you gotten there, or is it like a future ambition?
Definitely a future ambition for sure. That's definitely something that we want to delve in terms of how our pages are, being interacted with.
Is that something you, Michal, would you have, like, do you know where you want to go with those kinds of things? Do you have like a go-to plugin or something for that? Or how do you approach that?
Yeah, of course, it's a standard answer. I would say it depends. Yeah,
thank you.
It's like a technical standard answer, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's a statically built site. That's why it's a big thing when it comes to performance. So this site is statically built, but we use something called Edge middleware, and we are able to do a very fast personalization. So definitely we'll go with that. So it's always about how fast we can obtain the information about the user from any part of the world. Another thing is, and that comes with the Sanity, because one thing is how you technically approach being able to show two different pages in that matter. Another thing is how do you solve that inside the CMS, because you want to give the option to build two versions of the site, and we already have a system for that. So we have two major things. So there is a page which is inherently responsible for the content, and there is a entity called root, which you basically connect with a page, and the root is all about URL being in the sitemap and so on. And you can build more advanced flows with that kind of an architecture. Basically, you can attach two different pages under the root. You can add different conditions for showing those pages. You can regionalize them, have a completely different content for different regions. So we have all of the pieces in place.
Just waiting for Ashley and Evan to give the word.
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing. So what would be your kind of dream right now, Ashley? Like if you could just be like the product manager, the designer and everything, like what would you be your next dream feature on this site?
Next dream feature, I mean, I think that right now all of our features that are lined up have to do with visibility. So for example, we're looking at sticky navigations, we're looking at sticky add to cart functions, just being able to make it easier for our users to do whatever they want to do and navigate from any page to the next step. I think that's our focus right now. Visibility, usability, accessibility as well. That's where we're headed, I think, in the springtime, right before our spring launch. Just optimizing for our users.
Amazing. Evan, do you have anything that you kind of feel like maybe like a pet project that maybe isn't like super maybe I mean, sometimes some things, like you said, Ashley, some things we know that this will just kind of push it will just make the thing perform better. Some things are maybe something that are risky, but are kind of, you know what I mean? Like something that increases the the value of discovering things, the delightfulness of the experience. Are you thinking about that right now? Or do you have added so much already that it kind of, that's not your roadmap?
Boy, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, I want to be able to do things. We've kind of had our conversion hat on a little bit since we've launched, and just to make sure that like everything is aligned appropriately. I'd love to put back on my designer hat a little bit more and like just experiment a little bit. You know, we had some pretty crazy ideas when we were thinking of the original design. Like we wanted to do some other like live feed ideas. I just think I think that I want to be able to explore things that are different, things that you don't see married to e-commerce usually. And I think that paired with like really good UX practices and a fast, well-converted website is like what makes it interesting. So I think, I don't know, there's a lot of room for growth. Obviously we have a lot here now, but like, so we have to maintain that. But I think there's like, I'm not quite as worried about like maintaining it anymore as I used to. It's like
exactly, now you can kind of dream a little bit and like go further. One thing I love about your site is that pages are different. Like each page like smells and tastes, and it has the colors of that particular product. So it makes it more interesting to browse. And I feel like maybe if I were to be a kind of a gut scientist, I think like that's why your kind of average cart size went up, because it's just more fun to go explore when the things are like, everything is a little bit of a discovery. You scroll down, I feel like every product, like the first thing is a little bit of a, there's a little bit of a surprise just below the kind of fold on every different product. I think that's an amazing idea. What I've heard in the past when I'm doing research on why experiences are so drab very often, not only in e-commerce, a lot of like, let's say every streaming service basically has the same navigation, same everything, and every show looks the same except for the kind of the poster frame and the description. And what I've heard is that when they start optimizing, then they aren't empowered to optimize the content, so they end up optimizing the templates, and then everything ends up looking the same.
Yeah.
Do you see any of that? Do you feel any of that, or are you fighting any of that? Or does it?
Oh yeah, that's my ultimate fight, is just like the homogenization of the web and e-commerce in general. I mean, if you strip every e-commerce site away, you start seeing all these kind of like overlapping structures. And I think there's really smart patterns there, but I think the right word is what you said, is surprise. I think like we have to surprise our customers. Otherwise it's just another transactional, it's like a department store. And it's not just transactional. I think that's what separates brands from just like, you know, then we'd be selling it on Amazon, you know? So it's just like, it's about the experience. And I think I'm always trying to like fight against the grain and do something a little bit different. And you have to be okay with like making some mistakes and experimenting a bit, because you got to like find your footing. But I think it's important, because otherwise everything starts looking the same, and that's not fun.
It's not fun. And now we know it converts. Ashley.
Yeah, I think to piggyback off of that, it's, you know, there's clearly a lot of creativity that Evan puts in these product pages. And I think there's a life behind the pages, the same way there's a life behind the product. You know, when you, you know, talk to our production and design team about each piece, you know, there's an energy behind it, because these pieces are made to move. They're made to be comfortable. They're made to breathe. Under extreme conditions. So I think that it's quite fitting, you know, we just want that to be relayed online. That's the way that, you know, that's just what we want in terms of a digital component, because that's true to the brand, true to, you know, the people who work at the brand, and definitely true to our retail spaces, as I mentioned before. So yep.
I think that's so well said. I feel like that's spot on. I feel very often the lack in these experiences is the sense of a human connection, like someone speaking to me from the other side of the screen. This store has lots and lots of that, down to the assets, but also like how it's kind of communicated to me. I feel like I'm in contact with like humans who are like loving what they're doing. Let's talk a little bit about the logistics and kind of just the economics of it. Like how, from kickoff to launch, from kind of when you decided do you want to do this until September 1st, how long was that?
Well, I think,
Um,
Michal, we started talking in January, I believe. I think the conversations we had started talking in December or January, and then I think design actually really kicked off in March.
Yes.
And then from March until, I mean, I think all of my August was building all the backlog of all the products with our internal team, but it was pretty swift, actually, I'd say. I mean, I think it's yeah, I guess a 5-6 month kind of development design, like concentration.
Yeah, I think it's important to say it wasn't like a waterfall process. So when design started at March, already after a couple of weeks, I believe we started development. So having like at least first batch of the designs, we were able to proceed with the development. And the whole process included also migrating to the new structure of the products inside the Shopify, all of the big chunk of work was migrating the journal. I believe there is like a 400 posts there. So we migrated that from the WordPress to the Sanity. That was something that we were able to do, on our side as a developer. So we basically do this pragmatically, just writing a custom importer / exporter. And yeah, so basically that wasn't waterfall process and included a couple of phases there. Yeah.
So what would you tell, because I feel like I talk to a lot of people who maybe see the benefit of this, like they see the savings, they see the efficiencies, but they feel also there is a risk, right? Like they feel maybe they are unsure about migration processes. They are unsure, like if it's like, will we see the 10% growth around bottom line, or should we just kind of go with something simple? I guess, Ashley, what would you tell them?
I'd say take a risk. I mean, every brand is different. Every brand can approach this differently. That's kind of the beauty of Sanity. You can, quite literally build something just for you. And so I think that it's definitely quite easy. The learning curve is really not that steep. It wasn't for me. I can speak personally on that. It's going to save you time if you want to create something that is special and unique to your brand. And I think that the payoff is worth it. I think that it's definitely something to consider and to invest in, because the process is actually quite rewarding.
Yeah, I think there's something about like building this relationship with an audience being remarkable in that sense, where you definitely are. And I guess that's where this investment went. Is that fair to say, Evan?
Yeah,
and
I mean,
also
I
in
think
your own workflows, I guess. Okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to invest in being stagnant or too safe. That usually comes to bite you in the end. I think it's this didn't feel risky to me, honestly. This just felt like the right thing to do. You do your due diligence, and I think I felt like a better experience, a faster experience, better workflows in the back end for us was ultimately, as a designer, I try to make decisions that are going to help the bottom line, of course, but you kind of have to use I have to use sort of an intuition about that. And I just, from the get-go, I felt so good, like working with Michal's team, and I just knew it was the right. And like, we never even questioned, like, should we use Sanity? Like, they showed me a demo and I'm like, oh, of course. Let's. So it was like, that was just like so easy. It was everything else that we built around it. So yeah.
But the advice is bite the bullet and call Michal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I take it.
No, I feel there's like, this is kind of goes to your brand values. I wrote down, I was one of those people who read your entire brand story, and it says, you think adventure is dangerous? Try routine. There's something about that, like that there's risk in not doing these things as well. Like there's not like non-action is risk-free. I feel a lot of people undervalue that risk. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I think this was amazing. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Michal. This was really, really great. And thank you for your time. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.